Good evening, everybody. It's Tom Stoukas coming to you from Sarnia, Ontario. Sorry. Tonight, August 7th, Thursday night. It was a smog-filled day in southwestern Ontario. Fires, I guess. So it's like literally like smog all day, hot as hell, and I really don't remember ever growing up this way and having the whole country, wildfires on the whole country to the point where it's ruining the air all summer. So we saw yesterday Nova Scotia banned people from going in the woods so they wouldn't start fires. Newfoundland, I guess, got fires. So it's crazy stuff. It ruined the whole summer. Speaking of ruining, Doug Ford opened his mouth again today. He's taking a little flack for it. He was on CNN and talking trash about Trump again on CNN. And, every time he opens his mouth, it seems like he says something stupid. He needs to shut up. And what else? Pierre put out a big speech today. And he talked about a few things. This is after yesterday we saw the polls showing him really not doing too well against Mark Carney. And that's where Doug Ford comes in. Doug Ford's trying to go on CNN and try to sound like he's this national leader. And yeah, it's a mess. Canadian politics is a mess. If he becomes prime minister, Doug Ford, this country's screwed. And I'm not justifying having the other guys as prime minister, like Mark Carney or Justin Trudeau. They're just as bad, but Ford will be the end game, the final horrible prime minister that Canada has, if it gets that. Like, anyway, so let's just look at the happenings today. There's our boy Doug Ford. He was on CNN today. I don't know why he even goes on CNN. I mean, he was on CNN before to threaten to cut off their electricity exports from Ontario. He didn't do it. Now he's talking trash every time he goes on the American news and when he meets with Canadian press too. And I don't know, he's talking trash because he wants to look like a leader that stands up to Trump because he wants to run for Pierre's job. So, but his talking trash could have very negative effects on average Canadians. So when Doug Ford talks trash and then he goes to his cottage and drinks beer and eats steak, he thinks he's so cool and he's going to run for prime minister, but hurting trade negotiations and the economic position in Canada he doesn't get affected by it. Average people do. The guy working in the auto plant who's worried about how he's going to pay for his family, to support his family. And this guy's running his mouth off just because he thinks he's going to look like a prime minister material. That's the only reason he's doing it. Anyway, let's listen to what he says here to Wolf Blitzer. So and there's a lot of reaction to his comments today. Basically, they're not helpful and they're hurting Canada's cause because really we're not the stronger in the negotiation of the two negotiating partners here. So, you can talk trash when you got a lot of military and economic firepower behind to back it up, but we don't. And so I think it's horribly counterproductive. Let's see what this fat trader has to say. So here's Mark Nixon before we said, the best way to get trade negotiations back on track, send Doug Ford on CNN to mock Donald Trump on national U.S. television. So he's obviously being sarcastic there. Okay, let's see here.
What's the general impression of Trump in Canada?
He's probably the most disliked politician in the world in Canada. because he's attacked his closest family member, and that's the way we look on it. And when I talk to the governors and senators and Congress people, even Republicans totally disagree, but they're too scared to come out and say anything because the president will go after them. Outside of a few senators, and I want to thank them for coming out and standing with not just American people, but their closest friends and allies, which is Canada. And again, we love the Americans. It's unfortunate
Oh
President
God.
Trump decided to go down this road.
You know, how many beers did he have before he went on CNN? So like, that doesn't help anything. Like, even if he said, if it's true, I'm not saying, you know, we have to coddle to, you know, bow down to Donald Trump, but trash talking him might feel good, it might help your image, or you think it's helping your image, but it's not really productive, especially when we're in the, you know, the more vulnerable position. And he does this all the time. He talks like he said I remember he said before during the ministers' meeting, I wouldn't trust Donald Trump as far as I can throw him, and just stupid things like this. It's like, whatever, man. And he's talking about Donald Trump being the most hated politician in Canada. Canadians hate him the most. I'm pretty sure Doug Ford's up there in that list of hated politicians because he's a traitor. At least Donald Trump is working for the U.S. Like he's an American president. This traitor's destroyed Ontario, so I would say he's one of the more hated politicians in Canada. Doug Ford. All right. Oh God, I hate that guy. And we're gonna go back to Doug Ford's stupid mouth, and the consequences of him doing his trash talk. And he, like I said, he's doing the trash talk to look like a national leader, right? It's so juvenile. Like, if this guy becomes prime minister, it's totally cooked. The goose is cooked. Okay, next. We got our Indian content on here, as usual. I found this funny. We imported millions of Indians from India. I don't know if we imported them or if they invaded or whatever. Our trader leaders let them in. Okay, fine. But the funny thing is, not only do you import them all, but they all hate each other. So there's the Hindus, then there's the Sikhs, and then there's the Khalistani Sikhs. And they all hate, the Khalistani Sikhs hate the Sikhs, and the Sikhs hate the Hindus. And basically they all hate each other. And then you throw in the Pakistani Muslims, and they all hate each other. Yet we're going to import all of them here and let them fight and do their sword fights in the street here, instead of like not letting them come here and letting them do their thing over there in Southeast Asia. Instead, they have little gang turf wars here in Canada. It's ridiculous. It's a joke. I'm really upset about this. So anyway, these guys are complaining about the Hindus getting banned from Twitter for violent threats against the Khalistanis in Canada. It's confusing. But the point is we're actually importing different factions from India to fight here. It's crazy. Like we saw yesterday, the Khalistani, they used the Canadian taxpayer money to make a community center, and it said Republic or State of Khalistan or something. In BC, of course. It's weird. Next post, Dominion Society of Canada. It'll be interesting to see what they have planned. Commenting on Pierre's speech today. So Pierre's trying to get, obviously the poll numbers aren't showing good for him, so he's trying to get relevant again. And he talked about a bunch of things today. The infrastructure projects, energy development, the EV mandate, and immigration. So the immigration thing, I heard he said about it, but he was very careful to say to really point out the refugee system and the visa system, but not illegal, not regular, illegal, legal immigration. He only talked about the illegals and the ones that need to be deported. So he's kind of dancing around the immigration thing. He still said, the one other thing I noticed is he said this time, instead of a couple years, he said several years to reduce the net migration. Or what did he call it? Net negative migration. So more people leaving than coming. Before he would say he said a couple years. We need to do that for a couple years. But now he said several years. So that you see his positions is hardening when it comes to him. But it's still like he was saying the exact opposite. Not too long ago, like a year ago, he was saying stop deportations of student visa holders. He was saying expired student visa holders. He was saying he needs direct flights from Amritsar, from Punjab, to bring more here. And now he's saying the total opposite. So I think he's got a little bit of credibility problem. But he's saying the right message. But Dominion says this is a step in the right direction, but he doesn't go far enough. The Trudeau government inflicted deep damage on our nation. We don't need to learn to live with it. We need to fix it. It's not just illegals and criminals. Canada needs remigration. So yeah, he focused on illegals and criminals and the refugee system, like basically bogus refugee claimants. But he didn't talk about the regular immigration system, which is way too many people going through that. So yeah, his message is hardening a little, like he's going more towards the position I think Canadians want, but he's still not there yet. Let's see what he says here.
So that's what I've said. We've got these millions of people.
It seems like the entire Western world, including the Liberals, have realized that out-of-control immigration is a problem, but Canada is the only country without a solution to fix it. Mm-hmm. And you don't have sovereignty without control of the borders, so I'm wondering what your plan is to fix it and get illegal migrants out of this country.
Thank you. Well,
see, you notice the question, he talked about illegal migrants. Didn't talk about the ones that are coming here legally and bringing their 20 cousins after.
anyone who has been deemed inadmissible needs to leave, and they need to be deported.
Inadmissible.
Anyone who commits a crime while
criminals
in Canada, they need to be immediately detained, and when their detention is complete, they need to be deported from the country. We need to track down the roughly 600 criminals that the Liberals have lost track of. That means using all our security agencies to find out where they are, to locate them, arrest them, put them on planes, get them out of Canada. We need to make it clear that anyone who commits a hate crime or a violent
the Hamas crowd, of course, got to stop.
Should be that is not a citizen and not a permanent resident needs to be deported from this country.
That's the pro-Israel
We need to get rid of the incentives for people to come here that are not real refugees.
So bogus refugee.
We need a review of all the benefits that go to.
Look how careful he's talking.
As asylum claimants, to make sure they're not getting more benefits than Canadian taxpayers get. And those that arrive last should be their cases should be treated first, so that they know that they'll be leaving quickly. That will get the message back to the country of origin that if you come to Canada and you're not a real refugee, your case will be heard in a few weeks and you'll be back in your own country. That would, right now, there's the opposite incentive.
Okay.
It seems like
shit. So that's a bullshit. He's saying get the people coming for asylum, get them first. But what he doesn't mention is people come here by airplane and on false pretenses, and they declare asylum when they get to the airport. So instead of speeding up their hearing, how about just don't let them get on the plane to Canada, But he doesn't say that. He doesn't say stuff like that. And he's not saying anything about legal immigration, that the one that's the floodgates coming from legal immigration. He only talk about just the fringe, the criminal immigration, the bogus refugee applicants, the whatever, like the illegals. We got a problem with the legals.
Those that arrive last should be their cases should be treated first, so that they know that they'll be leaving quickly. That will get the message back to
Or
the
don't
country
let them
of
on the
origin
plane.
that if you come to Canada and you're not a real refugee, your case will be heard in a few weeks and you'll be back in your own country. That would, right now, there's the opposite incentive. People who are not real refugees come into Canada and they say, well, even if I'm rejected, I'll have 7 or 8 years of appeal, during which time they get all kinds of benefits. If we was very clear that the benefits wouldn't be there, that they would be sent back within a couple of weeks, they wouldn't come in the first place. We need to secure our borders to stop the crossings. And more broadly on immigration, we need to bring way down the numbers of international students, of temporary foreign workers.
Not too long ago, he was talking to foreign students saying, we want you here. We don't want you to, I'm against the deportations because we need workers. Now he's saying so this is what bugs me about this guy is he's saying right now what I want to hear. But during the election, he didn't say any of this. A year ago, he didn't say anything. 2 years ago, he didn't say anything. So I find it very suspicious to hear him talk now, saying basically the opposite of what he was saying not too long ago, and at least not even explaining his change. So basically he looked at the polls and he said, oh, I better change my position.
Are flooding our markets with low-wage labor. The big corporations love it because they can drive down wages for Canadian youth who are facing unprecedented unemployment. The temporary foreign worker program was not meant to drive down wages. It was meant to fill jobs
Look how
that
careful he's
Canadians
talking.
could not or would not do, particularly in agriculture. Now it's just become a full-purpose thing that Starbucks or anyone else can use to drive wages down. If they're having a hard time getting Canadian youth working, what they need to do is raise wages. So we need to cut back on the temporary foreign worker program. And finally, the overall number needs to go down. Over the next several years, we actually need more people leaving than coming. That's
Several
net
years, he said, at least.
Migration. And so that's what I've said. We've got these millions of people whose visas are going to come up. When their visas run out, they're not eligible to stay. They need to be told to leave, and if they don't leave, then obviously they need to be deported, and that will allow us our housing, health care, and jobs to catch up with the number of people in our country.
So it's a good direction for him to go in, but he doesn't have a lot of credibility on this at all. I'm sorry, and you see how careful he danced around it, just to sound like he's going after the bad actors. But he didn't talk about the millions of legal immigrants that they're bringing in, giving permanent residence to. And once they get permanent residence, they can bring their family over. So he ignored all that, basically. Now, he said about the net migration, but he could be just talking about, I don't know. I mean, that's a good thing. But like I said, his credibility, because he basically was saying the opposite not too long ago. Here's Greg Wycliffe reacting to it. This is a step in the right direction, but what's his excuse for taking so long? Poilievre literally waited for liberal politicians to start opposing mass immigration before he felt comfortable speaking about it. Timing is everything in politics, and this guy's timing sucks. He does. Like, he had lots of opportunities. He could have talked about it a couple years ago, but he was too busy, wearing the stupid bandana and going to the whatever, doing their prayer little site. He did his little shtick there on the stage there. So a lot of skepticism about his change in the immigration file. But also another thing he said there at that announcement is how Carney's not building homes and we need to build. It's like, why do we need to build homes if we're going to kick people out? Like, I was in London the other day, London, Ontario, and they're building homes like crazy there. I don't think the building is the problem. I think we have too many people. So I'm a little suspicious of his whole immigration shtick. And especially now because he's running in a riding in Alberta that's very anti-mass migration. So I don't trust anything this guy said. I don't trust any of them, but say what you will about Carney and them. they basically admit they're globalists. They're for the diversity of post-national Canada. Everything I'm against, but at least they admit it. Okay. So I said I agree with Pierre. What he's saying, he said Canada needs net negative migration for several years instead of a couple years. The problem I have is that he was literally saying the opposite last year. So he's got a credibility problem. Okay. Next. Ukraine war ending. So yeah, a lot of rumbling about Trump and Putin going to meet next week, maybe in the middle, in Abu Dhabi or something, one of those cities or countries, city-states. So hopefully they can figure out how to end that stupid war. I've been bugging that since it started. I've been going against it. So many hundreds of thousands of people dead for no reason. Next. This is a good one. God's chosen people can't stand to see Palestinians happy in a wedding. They came uninvited again. So this is probably in the West Bank somewhere. Look at that. That's a wedding. Oh. There's kids there. Oh, fuck. Look at that. If my kid was there and had to her flashbang for no reason, oh. But I remember seeing this is true. I saw they were having a funeral in I don't know if it was in Gaza or in the West Bank. This is a while before October 7th, and a journalist was killed by an Israeli sniper, and they were having her funeral, and they were carrying her casket. So I don't know if she was Christian, because I don't know if the Muslims do the casket, whatever, anyway. And the guys carrying the caskets, they were trying to carry the casket like pallbearers, and the Israeli soldiers were smashing them in the head, so they're trying to hold the coffin so she don't fall out of the coffin. And they're still smashing them. There's a video of it somewhere. It's like, that's despicable. At a funeral? Well, wedding, funeral? Okay, it's despicable. Next. We're talking about the Doug Ford tunnel. Some more reaction to the Doug Ford tunnel. He wants to build a tunnel under the 401. I don't know why. I think it's because, this guy makes a point. We've never spent more to get less in Ontario. This is clearly construction company donors telling Doug what to do, what to build, not smart planning. What about the disruptions it will cause for decades it will take to build? All for 7 minutes, saving 7 minutes. Like, it's totally like the big construction companies in Ontario would love this project, and the unions, of course. But yeah, this project just has disaster written all over it, because they couldn't even build a LRT line across Toronto, the middle of Toronto. They still haven't finished it. They've been working on it for like 15 years. The businesses on that stretch have been so hurt, and the people living in that so hurt by the incompetence, and they're going to do this a more extensive, more complicated project on one of the busiest highways in the world. It's got disaster written all over it. It would only save up to 7-10 minutes peak. This doesn't solve anything. It'd be a lot cheaper was to get rid of 1 million people. Remember, this guy was bragging how 1 million people came to Ontario last year. So, yeah, he's a joke. He's mouthing off Trump, talking stupid things about tunnels. Holy shit. Okay. So, every time fat retard Doug Ford, this is what it means. Every time he opens his mouth, he digs a deeper hole for average Canadians. So, Shut the fuck up, Dougie. Go up to your cottage and drink some beer. Oh, God. So he's saying probably the most disliked politician in the world. Doug Ford on how Canadians view Trump. Doug Ford's more, I dislike Doug Ford way more than I dislike Donald Trump. This is a good meme. Canada right now. It's a Nazi saying, "You're planning a walk in the forest, aren't you?" That's funny. Yeah. Commie Canada. I'm sure they'll do the climate lockdowns as a regular thing. Like, oh, it's too cold, polar lockdown. Oh, it's too hot, solar lockdown, forest lockdown. Who knows? Okay. Next here. This is from a local thing in Sarnia here, where I am. We're on the border with Port Huron, Michigan. We have the Blue Water Bridge, which is a very busy border crossing for commercial goods. And they've been catching a lot of Canadian truck drivers with lots of cocaine trying to get back over. This time, another massive drug bust. Canadian Border Services finds nearly 25 million of cocaine during a vehicle inspection at Blue Water Bridge, Sarnia, Ontario. Who is it? Onkar Khalsi of Culloden, Ontario. Look at all that coke. It's a lot of coke. Hold on one sec. That's a lot of coke. That's a lot of coke. And you have to think the stuff they catch, how much is getting through. It's like, I bet you they have a deal with the border. It's like, oh, we'll let this amount get through, but we have to catch a little bit of it. It's a lot of coke. All right, next. Another gem from Doug Ford. What did he tweet this today? Today, Ontario, Alberta, and Saskatchewan took the next step towards building new cross-Canada pipelines that will protect our energy security and secure tens of thousands of jobs for Canadian workers. With President Trump taking direct aim at our economy, Canadians are uniting like never before to protect our country and our workers. Yeah. But, you know, he doesn't do the geography very well because I don't know how you're going to get a pipeline from Alberta to Ontario without Manitoba. And Manitoba has already signaled they don't want to approve pipelines unless the Indigenous groups sign off. So he's basically saying no pipelines. So I don't even know why you would put a tweet like this out. Like, the pipeline's incomplete, Doug. What are you going to do? Underground? Are you going to build a tunnel for that too? Oh my God. He's getting ridiculed for that too. Like, the guy's a dummy. How the hell would he be even considered for national office? And that's what he's doing. Like, when he makes these announcements, he's trying to sound like a prime minister in waiting. Okay. And they're all signing, all these premiers signing these stupid memorandums with each other. It's a joke. Next. This is kind of what I think's wrong with the Conservative Party. See this today. This is what my MP sent us today in the mail. And it's all about the EV mandate that the Liberals want to put in by 2035. So basically, in 2035, everybody has to have an electric car, no gas power cars. And I don't even think that's worth worrying about because, first of all, it's 10 years away. Second of all, it's not going to happen. There's no way. And they're going to back off it was Justin Trudeau's crazy proposal, and there's indication that Carney's not going to he's going to kind of back out of it a little, or slowly. And so basically they're using this, the Liberal or the Conservative Party. So basically my reaction to this flyer was by my MP Marilyn Gladue. So Canada's being turned into a third world shithole, and this is what the Conservative Party and my MP Marilyn Gladue consider the top priority. Something that's 10 years away and probably is not going to happen anyway. Talk about a disconnect. So yeah, it's just like the election. Oh, immigration? What's the problem with immigration? We don't have to talk about that. All right. Next. This is another problem in Canada, is we have the conservative influencers on X, and they do us an injustice when we're trying to fight mass migration in Canada, the policy of mass migration, because what these guys do, like this guy Joe Anajar,
watched thousands of videos of them telling.
So he obviously is against Palestinian protests in Canada and Muslims, and advocates for deporting and limiting Muslim immigration to Canada. And he's not the only one. The British counterparts, Tommy Robinson, he's very anti-Muslim, okay? And in Canada, who else? Cat Canada, she's anti-immigration, but only for Muslims. Okay, same with Pleb and all the conservatives guys, the conservative influences. So they only focus on the Muslim immigration, which I think we need to limit Muslim immigration for sure, because it's not compatible with a Christian-based country like Canada. But the numbers are pale in comparison. The numbers of Muslim refugees or immigrants pale in comparison to the amount coming from Southeast Asia. And guys like this, Joe, who are basically shills for the Israeli movement, who want to demonize Muslims, he won't talk about Indians or the Sikhs, millions of them coming, because he says they share our values, but the Muslims don't. So I got into it with him today a little bit, but listen to him. Like,
You see London, it is Dunskies. You see in Paris, that city, that beautiful city is unrecognizable. You go to Spain, you go to Rome, in Italy. Oof,
so
garbage.
he's basically
Garbage.
focused only on
Beautiful.
Muslims. And I said to him, yeah, and he always mentions Tommy Robinson, and Tommy Robinson is a total Israeli shill. He rails against Muslim immigration, but he doesn't say anything about the other immigration that's destroying England. So that's what I said. I said, you're an Israeli shill. You're a wannabe Tommy Robinson who focuses solely on Muslims while millions of Indians invade Canada. I say deport them all. So I'm not saying, we should let Muslims in. I'm saying, why are you focusing only on Muslims when the numbers, really, the big numbers are from India? And other third world countries are gaining, like from Africa and all that. So he's telling me I focused on them. Obviously, you don't take it in my videos. You fuck idiot. You have 2 ears to listen and 1 mouth to speak. Take that as a hint. And I looked at his timeline. All I saw was anti-Muslim immigration posts. Nothing, barely. I don't think I saw anything on the Indian shit, because they share our values. So, beware of these grifters taking the shekels. So I said, just saying Muslims are a problem, but there are way more Indians and not a peep from you. And he says, you might want to go take a look at, as I include all people who don't share our values. So that's a key word. They say values, which means not Muslim. I said your timeline focuses on Muslims and Zyokuk Tommy Robinson. So apparently I'm not seeing it. He says it's there. He's against the Indians, so he says he is, but I never seen it. He was only talking about Muslims. And there's Tommy. Listen to this. This is the basically what their whole platform. The Canadian conservative influencers, supposedly conservative, and guys like Tommy Robinson. They basically want to ban the Muslims, which is fine. I'll ban. I don't want them. We don't want Canada being flooded with Muslims. That's fine. But when it comes to Indians and Sikhs, millions of them, because there's a couple billion sitting there in India, Southeast Asia. Listen to this.
Hard and be great citizens in your country. So happy Diwali.
There's a fish on there.
Open your borders to Hindus or Sikhs. They'll come and work hard and be great citizens in your country.
Okay, so that's basically our Joe guy, is what he thinks. He's like, ooh, as long as they're not Muslims. I'm like, no, as long as we got to ban them all. Because Canada is basically a European country, and flooding it with the third world migrants is going to make it into a different country. And Joe is just so blinded with his anti-Muslim focus that he doesn't see it, or he doesn't want to see it, or he's paid to not see it. So yeah, I don't like a lot of these influencers, because like I said, you do the immigration an injustice, the debate on immigration, mass migration. You do it an injustice when all you talk about is the Muslims. You gotta talk about all the groups. Okay. He's a very sensitive guy, this Joe guy. Like a little... Look at him. Anyway. Okay. Here's Danielle Smith. She's getting a lot of flack for the police issue. She's trying to get all these foreigners to join her police force. Here's more on Doug Ford's tunnel excursion. The Eglinton Crosstown has taken so long to build that the vehicles... This is crazy. So taken so long to build that the vehicles bought for it are now 10 years old and need maintenance work to run. 4 years late and $4 billion over budget. With this record of success, the Ford government is now ready to dig up the 401. Oh my God. Like, ask the people in Eglinton if they think the 401 tunnel is a good idea. And, you know, Metrolinx is a garbage organization. You know, Doug Ford's been premier 7 years. He's had plenty of time to try and fix Metrolinx. So, yeah. They screwed up the train to the airport from the Union Station. They screwed up everything. Okay, next. Tim Houston, this is the premier who banned the woods in Nova Scotia, is also boosting a big boost for this $20 billion or $1 billion wind farm in the ocean too. So this guy's, what a crackpot. That should waste a lot of money. Okay, we're almost done here. Okay, this is a good quote, tweet by Maxime Bernier. I remember him posting this. See, I tweeted this about the coming climate lockdowns during COVID. 3.5 years later, we're there. Nova Scotia's fake conservative premier Tim Houston started the trend with his tyrannical ban on going out in nature. So here he is, in 2022, COVID lockdowns and vaccine passports are just a rehearsal for the climate lockdowns and the carbon passports. Probably. Who knows with these guys? Next, the first step towards fixing a Dominion society. Again, the first step towards fixing a problem is acceptance. Multiculturalism just isn't working. We don't have to live with the mistakes of the past. We can send them back. So yeah, we got to keep sending that message out. Here's Randy Hillier. He's been commenting on the Gaza situation. First-hand accounts in Gaza indicate Israel is perpetuating the ethnic cleansing and probable genocide using mass starvation and murder of civilians. Evidence suggests that Americans are complicit in knowingly profiting from these war crimes. The Trump administration is facilitating Israel's war crimes in Gaza. Trump's development plans for a Gaza resort may be built on a very bloody foundation. So why are so many Christian Zionists turning their back on the killing fields of Gaza? Has money become divine and master in the Holy Lands? Yeah, it's a weird thing to see those really, the evangelicals, they're like against abortion, like they save all life, but then they see the Israel army killing all these people and they're like, we love Israel. It's so weird. Okay, this is a good one. About the 401 tunnel. Dougie's 401 tunnel. It says, I'm just going to assume some of Doug's friends, wedding guests, donors are in the tunneling business. Yes. Well, I'm going to assume that too. Next. Listen to this guy. Folks, we're going to dig the biggest hole you've ever seen. Okay, maybe it's not him, but it's a parody. We're going to dig the biggest hole you've ever seen, and we'll shovel money into it every single day. But we'll also keep digging the hole so that no amount of money will ever fill it up. This will be the greatest project in the history of the world. Yeah. I don't know why he's so intent on building this stupid tunnel. Someone's got to... He's got to be stopped. Here's Mike Schreiner, leader of the Green Party. The Ford government's own study showed that the plan to tunnel under the 401 is a risk to public safety and extraordinarily expensive. Why is the premier willing to waste even more time and taxpayer money repeating it, except to benefit his inner circle of wealthy, well-connected insiders? Yeah, something's crooked there. This one's good. Apparently Rob wasn't the only one smoking, the only Ford smoking crack. Yeah. It sounds like a fantasy. He's on something. Here's a good one. Meanwhile, in Nova Scotia, I'm going on an adventure. And then, no, you're not. That's hilarious. It's crazy. I didn't know people could spontaneously combust or cause fires as they walk. Here's another one. This is Doug Ford talking about Mexico. Now, Canada was just sent. We just sent a couple ministers down to Mexico to do some negotiations, see if we can find some, strategy to deal with the U.S. And she basically told us to pound sand, and said, we got to work with the free trade agreement between all three of us. U.S., Canada, and Mexico. I wonder why she said pound sand. Well, Ryan Garrettson has a good theory. He says, I'm almost certain what Ford said here about Mexico back in November did not help our relationship with them whatsoever. Mexico's President Sheinbaum even responded to this comment after hearing it. So we're talking about Ford opening his mouth. Every time he opens his mouth, and he makes things worse for us. He's just... And that's what I mean. It's like a reoccurring theme here. So it's like every time this fat retard Doug Ford opens his mouth, Ontario gets screwed. Have another beer and shut the fuck up, Dougie. So this is what he says about Mexico.
And closest allies.
I remember when he said
to
this.
compare us to Mexico is the most insulting thing I've ever heard from our friends and closest allies, the United States of America. And when
So yeah, I mean, just everything he says, he's just a retard. I don't know, I think the only reason he's our premier is because he's so compromised that they have him on a string. They can do whatever they want. That's really, there's no really other explanation for this. Okay. Okay, next. The most ridiculous part of this entire saga is that the premier views the 401 tunnel as his visionary legacy project. It really is the blind leading the stupid in Ontario. Yes, he really is intent on this tunnel, and hopefully they stop him, stop this madness. And this is Tyler Watt. Liberal, I don't really agree with him, but he's right, yeah. And this one, I kind of do. Would you rather spend $100 billion of tax dollars on improving healthcare, education, and the cost of living, or tunnel under Highway 401 that has the potential for roadway collapse? Yes. Ontario's Conservatives are choosing option 2. I'd rather deport 1 million people and maybe take back the 407 instead of digging a big tunnel, because if the Eglinton's just any indication, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like I said, they're going to build a tunnel under the 401. They can't even build an LRT line. They should be building subway lines like crazy, but they're building an LRT line, and they can't even get that done. So, anyway. So, that's the day today on X. More incompetence from our leaders. So, we'll see. Hopefully this tunnel doesn't get built. But we'll see. That's a lot of money. So, next broadcast will be Monday. I don't even know what day Monday is. August 11th. Should be some good stuff to talk about. So until then, hope everybody has a nice weekend. Stay away from the forest. And we'll see you Monday. Thank you.